Hi, beautiful. Here I am. We've had the beginning of the live bump. I'm outside. It is cold, but I still wanted to come outside and show you the world, so here it is. This is a spot of colour. Well, there's one back there, but this is the spot of colour. It actually is looking a little rain battered because we've had rain. This purple cineraria has been out for weeks, and I'm just so grateful because it's the one bright spot of colour, and it smells really nice. I know you can't smell that, but just imagine, it's kind of polleny and sweet. It's a really nice smell. Apart from that, everything is just sort of green, and I'm really enjoying these ferns over here, which now you can see because there was a tree there. There's the tree now. And the mulching heap that will get done when things dry out. And look at all these cuttings. I'm really excited to see them grow. And look, we have violets. And they smell good too. They look a little bit tousled because I had to disturb them in order to get the tree out, because the tree was sort of right about here. And these were all around. And so I had to lift them up, and that's why they look tousled. There's another one. So it's been really wet. It is really cold, but the garden is still beautiful. And look, soon enough we'll have magnolia flowers. They're all just fat green buds at the minute. And there's the sky. There's the cherry tree with no leaves on it. And you can see the wind coming from the left of the screen to the right of the screen. To the left is the south, and it's cold. So I've showed you that. I mean, the rest of the garden you can see is just sort of green and doing its wet cold thing. I'm going to take you inside now and tell you what the 0 Point Field and I have been doing today in our writing for God of Me. So I'll just march in here out of the freezing cold. I mean, it's not really quite freezing, but it is cold. Shut the door. The keys in their place. Keep all my clothes on. Go into the lounge. Oh, what have I brought in on my feet? Nothing. That's all right. So I'll just get the phone set up in its little standy thing. I think I've got this more or less right the first time. Amazing. Right, here I am. And I'm going to put a blanket over my legs because it really is cold, and we heat the rooms that we're in, and we're not in this room during the day, so it's just cold. But I'm very happy to be here with you. And I've got my little whatnot, my little list of songs, things I'm going to tell you. So today, we were still writing about heart coherence. You may remember, if this is not the first time you've seen me, and if this is your first time being curious about God and me, hello, my name is Oneness Evolving. And that was my front garden, if you happen to see it. And now I'm inside, out of the cold, talking about this God and Me thing that I've been doing for a while now, and it lives on Patreon. And it's really about skills for people to be able to live their lives more successfully and more easily than they perhaps currently do. And the thing for me that's been interesting is that a few months ago, the 0 Point Field sort of rocked up to me in a meditation and said, oh, can I write now? Because I've been writing for a couple of years, and there's a whole bunch of information I've sort of downloaded and put together, and it's all the stuff that I've learned and made sense of and put it in my own words. But then suddenly there's this different voice. And so I'm now listening to that different voice and writing with that different voice, and what we're producing is different. Surprise, surprise, it's not just me. And so we've been talking, the context is that we've been talking about how the heck do you navigate through a difficult situation or a difficult, confusing thing where you don't know which way's up, you don't know what to do, you don't know what's going to be right for you in the long term, all of that. And to do that, you know, most people think, I have to think about this. And we have a big brain in our head, and most people know how to use that to some degree, one way or another. But what many people don't know is that we have a brain in our heart, and we also have a brain in our gut. And the human navigates life better when all of those brains can work together. And me, Oneness Evolving the Human, has been learning about this very much on the go, on the fly, as the 0 point field is writing it through me or with me. It's not channeling. I sit and I listen and we work it together. That's all I can say. So to be able to navigate life using your brain, the compass in your brain, because obviously there's a, you figure things out, you know which way to go from your brain, but also there's a compass in your heart because there's a brain in your heart, and there's a compass in your gut because there's a brain in your gut. And when you can get those brains all working together, you got 3 compasses, and they will guide you safely and truly through any situation if you know how to get them working together. And so this is what the 0 point field and I are writing about. And if you think, what the hell is the 0 point field? The 0 point field is this invisible field of information and energy, and I'm quoting Joe Dispenza on this, that exists beyond space and time. And that's what it is. And it is the source of all matter. It is what makes up all matter. And therefore it makes up my body and your body, and everything you can see in this entire universe is kind of fabricated of the 0 point field. And also, if you like, you and I and everything in this universe are also the 0 point field experiencing itself. Just to throw that one in the mix. We're not going down that rabbit hole, but that's kind of the basis. So that is a 0 point field, and that's who I'm playing with and working with. And so this whole thing of using these 3 compasses to navigate your life, to do that, the 0 point field said, and I wouldn't have put it this way, there's 5 things you need to be able to do. 1, you need to have an intention. And most people think an intention is, I want this by then, and it needs to be this big and that long, and and no, intention's different. If you're curious about intention, go to the link underneath this post, you'll get to a page, and if you sign up for free, there is a collection of 5D translation to 5D information to 3D translations. And that information is in there over the last few weeks. Intention, and then the next thing is heart coherence. And that's what we're explaining now. And after heart coherence comes brain coherence, and then there's other things, and I'm not even going to go there. Talked about it a few weeks ago. But we're talking about heart coherence. And one of the things, and last week, by the way, we did this really lovely, practical, okay, let's give it a go. And it was heart coherence for somebody who's never done it before and doesn't even know that it's possible and has no clue about it. It's just a very practical, simple thing that you can do in a few minutes to go, oh, that's what that means. I can do that. And I can actually change how I feel, which is the whole point of what I said. If you want to try feeling better, and this, by the way, was my experience for a long time. Feel better, feel positive, have positive, happy feelings. I can't do that. I just couldn't do it, and I didn't know why it was so hard. I understand why it was so hard now. This is what this is about. Heart coherence is part of what you need to be able to navigate life's confusing, challenging situations. And bonus, one of the first things that happens when you start getting your heart to be more coherent is you feel better. That is guaranteed. Because physiologically, and it's interesting because the 0 point field isn't explaining this. Mind you, I talk about it a lot elsewhere in my earlier writings. And there's tons of information. I mean, go to Heart Math Institute. You'll find out all about heart coherence because that's what they've been studying for decades, and it's amazing. But what happens with heart coherence is when you make your heart coherent, basically you have to get your brain and your heart talking to each other, and there's a really simple process to do that, and that's what we did last week. And then there's really good information flowing between the two, and then it's better for your body, and your body gets to come out of stress. And that alone, you're going to feel some degree of relaxation or some degree of come down from being, if that's how you're feeling. So that alone is a really good reason to go, oh, heart coherence can do that for me. Right. Never mind the fact that heart coherence is what is, you got to have it if you want to be able to use your three compasses to navigate your life. None of the other skills, not intention, not sensing energy, not brain coherence. Well, no, actually, it's true. You can do brain coherence without heart coherence, because I did for a long time. Some people can do heart coherence first and they get their brain organized. I got my brain organized first. The heart coherence took me years. It was just really hard for me. I'm really glad I stuck it out. So the point being that you need heart coherence, you need brain coherence. You will not be able to utilize intuition and feeling into whatever it is that is the real question that you're trying to get an answer for. Never mind receive the answer unless you can make your heart coherent. It's just not going to happen. And that's the real reason why heart coherence is worth paying attention to and practicing. And by the way, you can do that in about 5 or 10 minutes a day. If you're too busy to do that, you can practice it while you are brushing your teeth or in the shower or cooking your dinner. It's easier if you can make a regular little time slot to just do that every day as a skill that you are practicing, because it's essential for being able to navigate your life. But if you don't want to do that, you don't have that excuse. You can do it with your eyes open. And I mean, there is this little exercise which is at least partially heart coherence, because I'm generating a positive feeling that I need to get good at while I brush my teeth. I just do that while I brush my teeth, period. It's just what I do. And it's taken a while, but I'm better at feeling that feeling than I ever was. So, I'm living this, right? So, heart coherence. So last week we did this practice. And this week, there's a thing in teaching. When you're teaching something, you tell people what they're going to learn. Then you teach it to them. And then you tell them what they just learned. And this is where we're at. Because we talked about heart coherence, we've done heart coherence, and now the 0 point field is saying, okay, what just happened? This is what happened. You put your awareness into your heart, and then you tried out several different ways of breathing in and out of your heart. And I know that sounds really weird if you've never done it before, but this literally makes your heart and your brain hook up and get coherent. That's it in a nutshell. And when you do that, and your heart and your brain get coherent, the information that's going between them is just better information, and that translates to better information going to your body, which is why your body becomes more relaxed or more coherent, because it's getting coherent information now instead of, you can calm down now, it's okay, you can stop running away from that tiger or that bad situation or whatever it is, or that question you can't answer. Body gets a break from all the stress. So that's what happens. And then after we did that, and the next thing was that we made a sincere effort to either feel gratitude to our heart simply for beating and keeping us alive, or if we're not particularly happy to be alive, because I know what that feels like, to send love to someone that we care about. Because sometimes it's just easier to do it for someone else. Feel love for my own heart for keeping me alive when my life feels a bit like hell? No, I don't think so. Okay, but there's somebody or something, maybe it's your favourite pet or whatever. There is something that everybody cares about. So send that love. So we do that. And then basically a person's experience of making the effort to do that will be one of two things, really. Either you go, oh, this feels quite good. I think I like this. Oh, okay, I'll keep doing it for a bit. Or, as was the case for me, oh, this is really hard. This feels bad. And it did. And it felt bad. You want to know why it feels so bad when you try to feel good? Because when you have a feeling because something's happened in your brain, which has meant some chemistry has gone to your body. And the chemistry's gone to the different hormonal centers in your body, and certain hormones and other chemicals have been sent out to your body, and those chemicals literally give you the feeling. It's like if you get angry, you get a shot of adrenaline, your heart starts to beat fast, your eyes dilate because you're getting ready to fight or run away or hide or whatever. You want to punch somebody, you want to move. The blood supply is diverted from your hands and your feet, and it goes to here because you're going to need it to pump, to run, to make your muscles move so you can get away to safety. All of that is anger. And I've lost my thought now. So that's a feeling. That feeling angry, is a chemical, because you had a thought, man, I hate that person. And you have that thought, the chemical goes, and then you feel that hatred, you feel that anger. If you have a feeling, you have a chemistry associated with that feeling. And if you have that feeling over and over and over and over again, and it's what you feel most of the time, your body gets really used to that. Really used to it. It gets so used to it that your cells actually adapt to working best with that chemistry. So now you're not just sad or pissed off or stressed or scared or whatever it is all the time, but your body, that's normal. It's normal for your body to be like that. And now, after perhaps 2, 3, 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years of feeling that way, you decide that you want to send love to someone you care about. What do you think your body's going to say? What the hell are you doing? I'm not used to this. I haven't felt the chemistry of love for a very long time. You want me to do what? Literally, at your cellular level, that's what's going on. That is why it's so hard to feel a different feeling. For those of us who have been used to feeling a certain way for a long time, that's the reason. Your body is really used to it. And so when you put your attention in the center of your chest and you make your heart coherent and you feel that coming downness, which is what happens when you do that, and then you make a sincere effort to feel and love for someone or something, or to just feel gratitude for whatever, that's why it can feel so hard, because your body doesn't know what to do with those chemicals. And more than that, your cells don't know what to do with those chemicals. You're trying to send the chemistry from your brain to say, body, feel joy, feel peace, feel gratitude. And the body's saying, I don't have any receptors for those chemicals. You haven't sent any of those chemicals for decades. Why would I have any receptors here for them? And so we have to really work for sometimes a while until our cells change to be able to receive that chemistry to then give us the experience and the feeling of feeling a different feeling. That's why it's hard to change how we feel if we've been feeling a certain way for a long time. That is literally why it's hard. So I find it really helpful to understand that, because what happens if you're practicing heart coherence and you're thinking, God, this is hard, and you start to feel angry, like your body fights back and says, no, this is a stupid feeling, don't do this. And there's all this noise in your head and your body just wants to get up and jump around and, wants to pick up your phone and be distracted. Anything except what you're trying to do. And it's just doing that because it doesn't want to try to change. Because you made it that way I made it that way for a long time. And it felt awful when I wanted to do something else. The point being that every time we try to feel a different feeling, and you've got to realize you can't do this just, I'm going to feel differently. You actually have to put your attention in your heart and breathe in and out and get that going, and then add the attempt to feel a different feeling to that. When you do that, when you make that sincere effort on top of breathing in and out of your heart, and you keep it going, you practice it, you kind of, coaxing your body into coming a little bit closer to that feeling. When you do that, you are actually saying, cells, I need you to change your genetic expression now. I need you to make receptors on the cells. I know I haven't sent you any chemistry to go into those receptors for decades, but I'm asking you now to make new receptors, to receive the chemistry of gratitude. I'm sorry I didn't do it for so long, but I'm asking you to do it now. That's actually what you're doing every time you try. And people think, oh, I can't feel this, I'm wasting my time. There's all that chatter in your head and your body feels really antsy and everything. But every time you actually notice that, okay, Oh, body, I know you get it. I haven't asked you to do this for decades, and now you really don't want to because you don't know what to do with this. Every time you recognize that and you just sit in that really uncomfortable feeling, you're giving your body more opportunity to change. You're giving your body more opportunity to change its genetic expression. That's what you're actually doing. You are asking your body to change how it works. And that's why it can take some time. But it goes easier with heart coherence. And by the way, most people don't take as long as it took me to get their heart to start working and to be able to feel those better emotions. It took me ages, it really did. I mean, I understand why now. I know myself better. But, if I can do it, hell, you can do it, okay? You just might have to work at it for a little while, but probably not as long as me. So then, okay, so now we understand a little bit why this is hard and why it's worth making the effort to do it. But the thing is, this is an essential skill. If you want to be able to navigate with your 3 compasses, you got to be able to do heart coherence. Not going to happen without it, period. So then you're faced with a choice. Could you make 10 minutes in your day, or maybe a little bit longer, maybe a little bit less? Could you make 10 minutes in your day to practice this skill if you understand that it's essential and it's actually going to help you live your entire life with a bit more ease and a bit more grace and a bit more effectiveness? Would it be worth doing that? It's not, am I going to spend 10 minutes a day doing heart coherence? So what? It's actually, do I want to have this tool to use for the rest of my life to help me deal with life and do it better? And that's, that's a kind of a different choice. We sort of think, it's just a thing, I can't be bothered, it's an effort. But if you realize what you're choosing, it's different. And then the next thing about that is actually, most people, the very first time they try some kind of heart coherence exercise, will have an experience and realize, that was kind of good. Even if it was a challenge, they're probably going to feel the value of it. But then they think, oh God, I don't know, I don't want to, But actually it comes down to logistics. And so then the 0 point field says, okay, well, you know what choice you're making now. This is about a tool that you can use for life. But the hardest thing about this is making a space for it. So where could you find 10 minutes regularly in your day? And most people have a space where they could do that. 10 minutes to sit with yourself and just breathe, pay attention, and choose a good feeling to feel. And do that. And there's lots of other resources for heart coherence, but none of them are any use to you unless you're actually going to apply them. So really, is it the sort of thing that you're going to make an effort to do? And you've got to decide that. And it's okay if you don't, but realize that not deciding is the same as deciding no, and that's cool. It's perfectly okay not to do it. But just be clear, you're making a choice. And so the 0 point field says, okay, it doesn't actually say that, but that's something that I sort of think of, if I want to avoid a choice. I've made a choice already if I'm just avoiding the choice. I've said no, all right, let's be clear about it. But if finding 10 or 15 minutes in your life, because you might find you want a little bit longer, finding 10 or 15 minutes just feels really hard, because you might be a busy parent with 2 jobs and, you're already getting up too early and going to bed too late and you're tired and everything else is like, oh, what? You want me to take 10 minutes and you want me to be in a room on my own? Are you joking? Because that is life for some people. It really is. Well, there's a simple solution that is offered to you. Tie the practice to whenever you are washing your body and or brushing your teeth. Because everybody does those, one way or another. And while it's not the same, you don't get to sit down and go within and, maybe close your eyes or maybe keep your eyes open, because it works both ways. You might be walking around. Me, when I brush my teeth, I'm on my feet. It's boring standing in front of the sink brushing my teeth. I walk around the place. But when I brush my teeth, I'm practicing some form of heart coherence. This is what I do. So you can do that because everybody brushes their teeth, or you can practice it when you're in the shower or in the bath or whatever. When you're washing your body or brushing your teeth, you're just doing heart coherence. And the value of doing this with your eyes open is it's harder at the start because you've got to coordinate the fact, oh, I'm doing this thing and I'm trying to keep my attention on my heart, breathing out of my heart and generate a positive emotion, all that stuff. But once you get it, well, you've got it. Now you can do it with your eyes open. You can practice doing heart coherence while you're driving or traveling or walking somewhere or sitting with people listening or even talking with people. That's a bit of a challenge because when you're talking, you're thinking a lot. It's quite hard to focus on keeping your attention in your heart and feeling good. But you can do it anywhere once you know how to do it with your eyes open. And the point is we only practice things with our eyes closed so that we can do them with our eyes open. So you're just skipping the first part because your life, for whatever reason, doesn't seem to allow it. So you can still do it. So it isn't about not having the time. It's about deciding whether you see value and want to do that for yourself, because it's a skill that you'll use for the rest of your life to navigate those confusing situations. That's why it's so important. So, and there's a piece that the 0 point field and I haven't quite unpacked. Because let's say, with all of that stuff that I've just raved about, and I will read this onto video and it'll go up on my Patreon in a couple of days. So if you'd like to hear what we've written together, then you just need to become a free follower and you can do that. And if you want to support me with a few dollars a month, you get to hear some pretty wild stuff from down the rabbit hole of what's going on with me. And it's, well, I think it's interesting. Anyway, you can check that out on my Patreon if you want to. The piece that the 0 point field, excuse me, I'm going to cough now, and I haven't finished is, let's say you read all of that and you think, oh, well, yeah, but I don't really see a reason to make the effort. Another reason, and ultimately we do things for ourselves and so we should. But when we have a more coherent heart, everybody around us wins as well. You know, you benefit first, and then the people that are closest to you start to notice that you're showing up more coherently. You're a bit more kind, you're a bit more loving, you're a bit more patient, you're a bit wiser, because when your heart's coherent, your brain works better. And so instead of going, wah, when problems come along, you tend to be able to sort of, you might still go wah, but you catch yourself more quickly and you kind of calm down. We haven't even mentioned yet that heart coherence, if you make an effort to make your heart coherent, you can get out of a bad reaction to something that's just happened faster. It's a useful tool. It is a really useful tool. Yes, it takes an effort to do that when you're upset, but it's better than staying upset and not being able to think, you know? So it makes it easier to get the solutions you need. So this is the piece that we haven't finished yet, is why everybody wins, especially you, because all of us need a reason to change. Nobody does anything for nothing. So, you know, this is a 0 point field saying, well, here's an essential skill that will be useful to you for your entire life. But, you know, you've got to make a time for it if you want to do it. And if you do, you know, if here's a slot in your day that you can use, well, do you want to try it for a week? Do you want to be brave, try it for a month? Because we reckon that by the time you get to the end, you'll probably want to keep going. Because this is so useful. If you practice nothing except heart coherence, even just for 10-15 minutes a day, you'll notice changes in your life. You can't help it. Make your heart coherent. Everything changes. So, that's my rave for today. I've had a lot to rave about. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for watching and listening. If you're on YouTube and you've made this far, big love. Push the subscribe button, like, share, whatever it suits you to do. And I will look forward to seeing you on Patreon where there's much more. I'll be back next week. Bye-bye.